All right, let me know when you're recording. Okay, here we go. Welcome to The Cost and Benefits of Bottled Water by Zachary, Nishafulo, Zamira, Anya, Evan, and Clem. So, our research question was, what are the costs and benefits of bottled water? And our hypothesis was we thought that our data will find that New York City tap water will not have as many nutrients in the other waters, but it won't have any high levels of chemicals that you don't want in your body based on this data. And we will think that tap water will be the best because it's super cheap and it doesn't do much to the environment and it's completely healthy.
So some background information. Water bottles take an immense amount of plastic and oil to create. 29 billion water bottles are produced each year in the US, which is equivalent to 17 billion barrels of oil. And that's enough oil to fuel 1 million cars for a year. So if people drank tap water all the time, they could save at least $1,800 a year. So our goal of this experiment was to find out if all the plastic that is used was worth the health benefits in bottled water. So we tested a few different variables in order to come up with the conclusion to find out if bottled water is worth all the money and damage to the environment. So we tested Essentia, Evian, Poland Springs, Smart Water, and tap water to see the conductivity, pH, nitrate, and chlorine levels. And we also did a taste test of all the different waters with 36 different students, including 3 of our own group members. So we tested pH, which tests the acidity levels in waters. So neutral pH is best, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency recommends that the pH be between 6.5 and 8.5, but the recommended amount is 7. If the pH is above 8.5, it's called alkaline, and if the pH is below 6.5, the water is acidic. And some people say that alkaline water has benefits for your health, and some brands like Essentia, they're branded as alkaline waters. So nitrate is measured in the amount of nitrogen and oxygen in a substance, and it's measured in parts per million, or ppm. So chlorine is another chemical often in pools, but it's also it's not very good for your body because what it does is it kills bad bacteria, but if you consume too much of it, it can kill good bacteria. And the recommended amount of chlorine in drinking water by the DEP is under 4 milligrams per liter.
There's some more background about the waters and what we were testing. The conductivity tests the amount of electrolytes in a substance or in the waters. Electrolytes are chemical compounds that when you add them to water, conduct electricity. They do many things for our bodies, including preventing cramping, lowering blood pressure, helping muscles contract, and regulating fluid balance. Electrolytes are necessary to keep our bodies healthy. Bottled water with electrolytes appeal to athletes and dancers because of health benefits. Our procedure. In order to test the pH, chlorine, and nitrogen, we use the water testing kit. We pour 20 milliliters of each water into 5 different cups, put sticks in each water. We waited 10 seconds for the pH, 2 seconds for nitrogen and chlorine, we timed it, and then we took out sticks and mashed them to the according color. We recorded the data on data table and we averaged trials, and we repeated that. For the conductivity, we poured enough of each water to submerge the tongs in a beaker and dip prongs into water.
Evan, we can't hear you.
It's okay. Just wait a minute. Hopefully he'll come back on.
It said he left the meeting.
Maybe he's trying to log on and log back on. So I'm going to wait. Let's just wait a minute because we do have a little bit of time. And to admit him again, here we go.
So I think crashed.
It's okay.
Wait. Sorry. We wait for the light to appear. Dim, regular, bright, and matches to the key. And we recorded the data in a data table.
Sorry.
For the blind taste test, we got students to volunteer. We gathered a few students at a time to a certain room. We had them close their eyes so they wouldn't have a biased opinion. We poured each type of water into a cup. We had them drink each water and tell us which one is their favorite. We recorded the data and made a conclusion as to why a certain brand got picked the most.
Okay, so for our materials, we used the 5 different types of water, which, as we said, were Poland Spring, Tap Water, Essentia, Smart Water, and Evian. We used about 2.5 water testing kits because we didn't use 1/2 of one. And we used very small plastic and paper cups to do the blind taste tests. And we used the conductivity tests for the conductivity test. And then, yeah. And then these are the sources we used. So yeah. And so our variables, our dependent variables were chlorine, pH, nitrate, conductivity, and taste. And our independent variables were the waters that we chose. And then so these are Clem slides, but I'll just do them for. So these are the photos that we took. So as you can see in the top, we matched up the stick to the key on the water testing kit because when we put the stick in the water, there was a reaction that put a color on the stick, so we were able to match it. And then in the middle, you can see the conductivity tests, which it's like kind of like a battery, and you stick the metal into the water, and it, as you can see, like the red light appears, and it's dim, bright, or medium, and then we can match it up and see there's like a key on the back. Yeah. So this is our data table. So I'll just go through this very briefly before we go to the graphs. So we have the pH level for all the different waters. Most of them are in range between 6.5 and 8.5, except for the Essentia, which is 9.5, which is what we expected because it's branded as an alkaline water. The price has a very big range. Tap water is barely even a penny, and while Essentia is the most expensive, Evian is the most expensive, being $2.14 per liter. Chlorine and nitrate were all within the recommended levels, so none of them were dangerous. And for conductivity, we were kind of surprised because tap water actually had high conductivity, and Smart Water had low conductivity, even though it's branded as a water with many electrolytes. And we tested this with different kits with more than once, and we got the same answer. Then for taste, as you can see, tap water and Essentia tied with 11, and Evian got 0 people. So that was the range.
It's graph time.
So the pH of the waters, they were all in the range of 6.5 to 8.5, except for Smart Water and Essentia. And Essentia had a pH of 9.5, and Smart Water was below, which had a pH of 6, meaning that it was an acidic water.
Chlorine and nitrate. None of the waters had an unhealthy amount of nitrate or chlorine, but Evian had the highest amount of nitrate, and Essentia had the highest chlorine. But none of them were surprising.
So the price, as I said earlier, was in the range with Evian being the most expensive and tap water being very cheap.
As you can see from this graph, tap water and Essentia, as I already told you, are tied. As we already told you, are tied with 11 people and the most liked waters, and nobody liked Evian, and the rest are just the range between 0 and 11.
So Evan, I think you're doing this.
Okay, so our graphic conductivity. Since we can't put like high conductivity on the y-axis, we just made a key. 1 is low conductivity, 2 is medium, 3 is high. And tap water and Evian both had high conductivity. And like I said before, tap water surprised us, and we did not expect to have high conductivity. And Smart Water had low conductivity, which surprised us because they brand as having electrolytes in their water.
So as you can see, no science experiment can be perfect, and we had some errors that should be accounted for our experiment. For example, cross-contamination, which means we didn't clean out cups when we did a new test, and the temperature of the water, and some people may have preferred the tap water because it was cold, and inaccurate color calculation on the testing kits.
So, for the analysis and conclusion, we concluded that everyone should be drinking tap water in New York City. And so some of the health benefits of tap water, there are less chemicals, obviously, in the tap water. There isn't any nitrate, and there's the right amount of chlorine only to kill the bad bacteria. There's lots of electrolytes. So the brands that are advertising to have, sorry, my dog's in here. The brands that advertising as they have a lot of electrolytes, you don't need that because tap water already has a lot. So monetary benefits, all the other waters are more than 50 cents. They're almost all over $1. And so why not save at least $1,800 a year? Like, why not? So for the taste, it has a good taste, you know? It was tied with Essentia, but if the health benefits to Essentia aren't much greater than tap, you might as well just drink tap. And the environmental benefits, it eliminates using plastic water bottles, so saves oil and turtles, which is, you know, a nice benefit.
Thank you for watching. Any questions? Ask away.
Really fun.
Should I stop the screen share?
Yeah, and then you can see everyone's faces. Fantastic. That was very, very fun. I loved the enthusiasm and detail.
Sandy, it looks like you had a question. Sandy, it looks like you had a question. What is it?
I just wanted to say that you guys did a really good job presenting.
Thank you so much.
Really well researched.
Okay, Shayna? Shayna, you had a question?
Say that I really liked the presentation, and I thought that I liked the format, how it was most in bullet points, because it made it really easy to read.
Hey.
And
Thank
I
you.
just thought that you guys explained everything really well, so I understood all of it, and yeah, it was really good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Gabriel?
About tap water, let's say you got I assume you got it from like somewhere at high school, like which pipes are probably fine, but let's say you're like in New York City and you get tap water and then the pipes are like the things that are connecting the water are murky, like
So in New York City, like around the country and around the world, tap water is not always good. So don't drink tap water everywhere necessarily. But in New York City, the tap water itself should be clean to drink unless it's like river water. That's not really tap, like water from the sink is safe to drink. If the pipes are messed up, then I don't think that has to do with the necessary. That's not like reflecting on the water. That's reflecting on the pipes in the system. So if you have bad water, the water, because you don't want the like whatever's in the pipes to go into your water, but the water itself should be safe to drink in New York City.
Okay, Elizabeth, you had a question.
I thought it was really nice how I thought your project was really relevant about. I think it's great that you guys look at so many aspects of of tap water and like environmental and money and everything. And I think it's just really relevant to like, I know a lot of people say like, oh, tap water, it's I think it's really great that you are on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other questions? Anybody? Yes? No?
Gabe and Sandy, are those hands from before?
I think so.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's great because we are now officially out of time. Fantastic. That was very detailed, and I also appreciate how many different angles you went to really analyze the economic benefits, right? The cost benefit, as well as just the general value of the water. And it was very clear. So thank you.
Thank you.
Going to stop recording.